In the spirit of respect, authenticity, and reconciliation, the town of Slave Lake honors and acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of Sawridge First Nation within Treaty 8 territory, home to Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have occupied these lands since time immemorial. Councillor Gramlich.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda and add the closed session under sections 19, 26, and 28, please.
Okay, motion on the floor for agenda amendment. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that one is carried. Councillor Achoba.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that one is also carried. Continuing forward to minutes, Councillor Hughes.
I move to accept the regular meeting minutes of council from December 2nd, 2025 as presented.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Councillor Achoba.
Move to adopt the committee of the whole meeting from December 9, 2025 as presented.
Okay, any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that one is carried. Great. We'll move forward with our delegation. Casey, the floor is yours.
I'll make this quick. I know you guys got some exciting budget discussions tonight, so.
Thrilled.
So this is the quarter, that should say quarter two, report on there, or you can go to the next slide, which is, April, May, June, July, August, September. So just an agenda, I'll go over our detachment goals status for the year, the quarter two stats from our OSP branch, some recent investigations inside the town of Slave Lake. So detachment specific staffing updates, and then whatever questions and answers you guys have. So the first priority this year was targeting property crime. Our four pillars this year were hotspot quadrant patrols, industrial area patrols, rural area patrols, and bait item deployments. You can kind of see some of the numbers where we're sitting so far this year. In terms of the bait item deployments, there was one attempted, but it didn't succeed last quarter, so we're looking at doing that next quarter. So those are the numbers for the other three areas. You go on the next one there. The second was enhancing public confidence and engagement. So the first part was visibility and engagement in school zones. This only really had September in there from the 3 quarters for quarter two. So we've tracked 115 of those. Interactions with community groups, schools, sporting groups. That's on top of our monthly school visits. So we're 27 in the summer months, and media briefs and releases. So investigation specific and monthly ones that I've been doing, we're up to 17 so far this year, the first half of the year. The last one was targeting prolific offenders. So we had proactive interactions with our prolific offenders. We're sitting at 40 so far this year, and warrants executed. So we're looking at 95 warrants executed for them so far this year.
That's just in the last quarter? Or is that
that's year to date.
year to date? Okay.
Yeah. So this is the quarter two stats from the OSP. I know property crime is always a big one here in Slave Lake. Good to see down again, not only year over year, which is 18%, but from 2021 to 2025, also down 4%, which is good to see. It's, I think, been 7 or 8 quarters consecutively that has decreased. Eventually things pop back up. We do have some plans in place if that happens, but that's the main one I would draw out of that. Next one. This one, I know it's really, really tiny. I think it was on the email I sent out to Alex there. Things I just kind of took from this one, our drug files are up 50% from 2021 to 2025. Our mental health act files are down. So people that have our mental health crisis, those kind of files are down. Not sure why on that. I will say there's an RPAC nurse that's based out of Athabasca. She's been up here quite often. She was here yesterday. She comes up and she goes with a member to deal with like mental health calls. Works for AHS. She's a nurse, but she wears a vest. Maybe that's had an impact, but she's up here every so often, including yesterday. So might be a reason that's down a little bit. So 3 files here. These are all from inside of the town of Slave Lake, all in this quarter, July, August, September. So the first one here, members were called to an assault where someone had used a baseball bat and had broken someone's arm. The members attended and spoke to all the parties involved and identified a suspect. The members had prior dealings with both the victim and the subject of the complaint. The suspect was arrested by the members on the scene. That suspect had been previously charged with 13 criminal code charges and had 12 outstanding charges and had been the subject of a complaint of 25 calls for service in the last 2 years. That suspect was released, attended court, and already the Crown's decided to deal by way of peace bond, which if you don't know is basically just you're on probation for a year, then you don't get a record at all out of that charge. So that just happened. You can go to the next one there. This one was a call for break-in, enter, and a fire at an abandoned residence here inside the town of Slave Lake. Members attended and located a male they were very familiar with on the property and an active fire in its garage. Slave Lake Fire attended and assisted, and once the fire was extinguished, the male was arrested by members on scene. That suspect was well known to us. He had 58 prior criminal code charges and had been the subject of complaint of 75 files to us in the last 2 years. That suspect was released, but has since attended court and pled guilty and was given 110 days in custody and 1 year of probation. I will say with that one, they sometimes lump files together. So that was 4 files with the same person all in one. So some charges were withdrawn, some were convicted, but a decent amount of in custody time from what I've seen. So you can go to the next one. Last one here is detachment members were doing proactive curfew checks on a known prolific offender at a residence in the northwest quadrant of Slave Lake. The members advised the offender was not present and had not been there since he was released from custody. The members laid charges which were approved by the Crown and a warrant was issued. The members were later able to locate and arrest the suspect on the outstanding warrant. That suspect had 19 prior criminal code charges and had been the subject of complaint of 36 files in the last 2 years. That suspect was released by JP and later pled guilty and received a $500 fine. So again, we don't control the justice part of things, but I just wanted to put some sentences on there just so you can see what
That's helpful.
people are getting. Staffing updates. My spot's filled. The sergeant spot's also filled. I put a little star beside our 2 general duty corporals there. It was one of them was going to go to promotion there, but I was able to convince someone from Hintage, who I used to work with, who's a 10-year member, really good corporal, to come here, and he just signed off on that last week. He's really big into search and rescue, jet boat instructor, search manager, so he's going to be a huge asset to our community.
That's good news. So it's vacant here, but not vacant.
What's that?
So it's vacant on the report, but not vacant in entirety.
We have someone acting in
Yeah,
that spot
yeah,
now.
perfect.
And as soon as he sells his house in Hinton and moves here,
Fantastic.
he'll be here. 11 constable spots. We do have 1 vacancy and 2 are out in January. There's a KDIV only troop, so every person in that troop from depot will be coming to Alberta here in March. I've been told we're going to get a couple, hopefully, from that troop. So February, March, there may be 1 or 2 vacancies on the constable side of things. So 1 for the town, 1 for the province side of things. Our 2-person crew units filled. You guys are getting the reports I'm sending every couple of weeks, hopefully. Keep sending those, yes or no?
Yes, please.
Okay. So those spots are filled and all our admin staff are filled right now. So that's from there. Couple other notable items. So those monthly investigation summaries I've been doing or media releases, I keep sending those to Alex every month and I think he's been pushing those out. I've heard a couple of people mention them to me. It's nice to see what we're working on. So other than that, I haven't heard much feedback. I checked on our Westlock traffic spots. I know the MD always asks me, so I always check before I do a council meeting. I'm doing theirs tomorrow. No update. I talked to Sergeant Drinkwater there on Monday. He said he was going to follow up with Superintendent Hart, who's in charge of traffic services for the province. And the spots are actually empty. And the promise was once they were empty, they were going to just try to rebook them here in Slave Lake. So he's working on that. Hopefully I'll get an answer for the next meeting there. Yeah, and our members continue to receive training despite provincial budget restraints. That's awesome that most of our members are funded by the town because our provincial members around the province are not getting a lot of training right now at all. Since our members are funded by the town, they are. So we're actually sitting in good shape for that. Us spots like Wood Buffalo, Red Deer, larger spots that are paid for by the town. They are getting training, but smaller spots like Athabasca, Red Earth are not. So we're sitting in good shape for that. That's it. Kept it short and sweet. I'll answer any questions you guys got. I know we got some new faces here. First time I've been here, so hi. If you have any questions for me, let me know.
Counselor Williams?
Hi, thank you for the presentation and all the work the RCMP does in Slave Lake. Particularly, we got a call, we had our vehicle parked in front of Cal Tire and somebody was trying to break into it. We had parked it there to get service the next day. And they called us within not even 5 minutes of us getting home from dropping it off and let us know. So
Oh, wow.
amazing. Love that. I guess I just had curiosity on if crime rates increase or decrease during the colder months, do you find?
Our file count definitely goes down.
Goes
In
down?
the summer months, we're averaging, 4 or 5, high 500, 600 calls a month. Winter can be down to high 3s, low 4s. So we're getting about 200 less calls a month during the winter months. Having said that, I don't know off the top of my head, the difference in seriousness of those calls, right?
Okay.
Just in general, it is a less busier time of year.
Okay. And yeah, you were mentioning about the mental health calls being down. Is that normal for this type of season, like the holiday season, I guess?
It kind of comes and goes. There's usually a period there right before people get out on hunting and stuff. Like there's a period there where calls kind of creep up.
Okay.
And then once things kind of freeze over and people are out on sleds and hunting and that kind of thing, things kind of taper off for whatever reason that is. But yeah, they are down. I remember seeing, we
Great.
have an app
That's
we use
great.
now. We ask people questions to kind of assess them. And I see the usage of that app. And there was only like, I think 4 calls last month
What's
from
the-
that app.
What's the app called?
Health IM.
Health IM?
It's pretty slick. I think all detachments in the province are using it. You basically can assess someone, you ask them questions, like this is a non-urgent, like someone not actively hurting themselves.
Yeah.
You can go through the questions and at the end, if you choose to admit them to the hospital for their mental health, it'll actually print that form at the hospital, through the app, through cell towers, whatever. So, it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
We're using that on every call for mental health. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Counselor Hughes?
Thank you for the presentation, Casey.
Yep.
2 questions for you. First one, is there a possibility to see an increased police presence in the school zones and sort of the morning area, time of day? Reason being, I know our peace officer's out, but he is only one man, and might be missing some activity. And just personally speaking, I guess I'm at CJ Schurter every morning. The amount of illegal turns and crazy things that are going on there, I don't know how there hasn't been more accidents and bad situations there. So just curious if perhaps in the new year, that's something we could kind of focus on, or maybe other messaging surrounding being safe in the school areas. And I'm not even just talking about speed, just general driving.
Definitely, we did add it to our plan to track that. I can say by going to the daycare beside the school myself,
Yeah.
people are going the wrong way through there all the time. It's
It's crazy.
frustrating, like even when I'm not working, I see people driving the complete opposite way.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, we definitely can
Okay.
focus on that. Our goal is to focus on that in the morning and the afternoon, barring something else going on.
For sure. Yeah.
This winter, we've been like afternoons are a crazy time for collisions.
Yeah.
For whatever reason this year, we've had quite a significant amount of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly we can definitely focus on.
Okay. Yeah.
And-
Yeah. I just think it'd be nice to see, even in the new year. I know our peace officer is going out as much as he can, and I've kind of talked to Alex about that and requested that, but might be nice to see you guys around there too. And I know you are back and forth, but
Yeah, I mentioned it to Joel, the peace officer there at the last coffee with COP. He was there with me. And we talked about that with a couple people there. So
Okay.
he tries to get out as much as he can, but yeah, it'll definitely be something that we can look. at.
perfect. Thank you. And then my second question was just regarding your comment about the training here, that our members are getting training due to the town funds. Can you elaborate on the training? Like, is every member getting, or what's the difference? What are they getting that the other areas aren't?
So the way RCP works, at least here in Alberta, every week they post a list of courses members can take.
Okay.
They have to now it says on there, when you click on that course, you have to be funded by a municipality, which our
Okay.
members are, except 13 of our 17. So those members can apply to courses, like search warrant courses, 40mm courses, a variety of courses. Investigative interviewing was another one I've seen recently. So we're lucky for the fact that our members are paid for mostly by the town, so they can actually apply for those. And when I go to the MD tomorrow, I'll let them know that luckily most of our members are funded by the town. So they're getting that training. We work back and forth though, like there's a member, you would not know a difference between a rural member here and a town member. We all work, we go to calls wherever. It's the same people generally
Yeah.
anyway.
Mhm.
But yeah, we've lucked out pretty good in that aspect.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Counselor Hudson?
Yes, the roads, and again, thank you for the presentation. The mill roads, do you guys patrol those regularly, especially during shift, like the mill shift times when people are a lot of traffic?
Oh, you said Mill Roads?
The mill roads,
Like
like
Mitsue
the
area
Mitsu,
kind of
basically,
thing?
yeah.
Okay.
And then if the roads are really bad, icy, do you guys ever, like, do you have a contact with the people that maintain the roads that you can let them know, or does that fall on the public to have to let them know? Like, cause I've seen those roads, like some people saying they were really bad last week and then suddenly we were all in the dark, right? So,
Yeah, I know, we definitely do patrol the Mitsu roads. I know
Yeah.
there was the last Thursday, I believe. We had a couple collisions on the Smith area, and I know we do have a contact for the highway maintenance.
Okay.
And we had asked them to put some gravel down just
Oh, good.
before that construction zone there, because it was extremely significant amount of cars were in the ditch.
right.
So we have a contact with them to try to
Oh,
make
good.
that, but transportation would be your, if there's an issue with the amount they're maintaining the roads, which I'm not saying I agree or disagree with,
No, right.
they'd be the point of contact for that, but we do, anytime we go out there for a call, collision, and we notice the roads are terrible, first thing we're doing is asking, our dispatch to call them, and
Oh, good. And then that hopefully carries a little bit of clout with those companies
yeah,
and gets makes sure everybody's safe, you guys and the public. And then the other question, sorry, kind of the same question, but who, like the other day, there was a picture on Facebook of a sign that was about to fall off of one of the posts over by Mr. Mike's. And
Okay.
they were trying to figure out who you would even call for something like that, like
like a
somebody
stop
thought light
sign
cord.
kind of thing.
No, it was the Highway 88 sign that was on the light standard. So it's, a good sized sign, I think probably 6 by 2 feet. And it was hanging on by one bolt.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah, that's highways.
That is
because they're
highways.
responsible for that. And
Yeah.
it was our administration, even though it's not Town of Slave Lake, we did contact the department with, I believe it's La Prairie is responsible right now
Prairie.
for highway
Okay.
maintenance.
Yeah,
So that the intersections, the town actually can't touch.
right.
For snow removal or other maintenance issues. We get in trouble for that. So so that I will answer that one.
But La Prairie would be the one to call, because I
Yes.
tried to
Yeah.
call them before it was falling down. And I left a message and never heard back, but
We've definitely gotten calls for
Yeah.
people saying, oh my God, the road is terrible at this
Yeah.
specific spot. Obviously we don't have a truck to go out there and sand the road, but we do call, for something like that, we would just call the Prairie and they'd come out.
yeah, okay, good to know. Thanks. So. Awesome, thank you.
No worries.
Counselor Choba.
I'd like to move to accept the RCMP quarterly report as information.
And there is motion on the floor. Any further discussion, Counselor Gramlich?
No, I was just gonna comment, if the MD didn't tell you, they canceled their meeting tomorrow. I
That's-
mentioned it a couple of times, so
You
just,
what, sorry?
the MD canceled their meeting tomorrow.
They moved it to Thursday because of the
Oh,
inclement weather.
Just so you
Okay.
knew, because you mentioned it a couple of times, so,
Oh, my bad.
no, not, just so you know, so you don't end up there. So anyway, just letting you know.
Even better. Thank you.
Any further discussion on that motion? All right, call to question, those in favor. And that one is carried. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a fun budget meeting.
Okay, we'll move up into our new business and reports. Joanna, you're next.
Good evening, your worship and members of council. Tonight, I'm presenting on the impact of the temporary suspension of development permit fees. So I'm going to present an evaluation of this temporary suspension of the DP fees for new residential, commercial, industrial, and related developments. I am using the 2025 development activity because we only had 4 permits that applied to this exemption in 2024, that last half of 2024. So I just focused solely on the 2025 because that's where the majority of the activity was. In 2024, council approved a motion to suspend development permit fees for new construction in residential, commercial, and industrial sectors, along with certain associated miscellaneous permits, so for demolitions, secondary suites, or accessory structures. This suspension was from June 5th, 2024, and goes till December 31st, 2025. It was estimated that based on the 3-year average of the development permit revenues, the fee suspension would reduce municipal revenue by approximately $2,400 in 2024 and $5,000 in 2025. As of December 5th, 2025, a total of 93 development permits were applied for. To date, 68 have been issued, and there are 14 in various stages of the process. There were 7 permits applied for that the applicants did not proceed with. Of the 68 permits issued in 2025 in which fees were suspended, 33 of them applied to a category where fees had been suspended. And of the 14 DP applications still being reviewed, there are 6 permits that would have applied. These permits are distributed across major categories as follows, and the counts and fees that would have been charged in the schedule had they remained in effect. So residential permits, and this is a combination of not just building of homes or like bringing in mobile homes. This is a combination of accessory structures, garages, sheds, decks, just secondary driveways, all types. So 27 applied. An estimated fees that were foregone on those were $3,500. Commercial, we had 4 applications, which accounted for roughly 31% and just over $6,000. In the industrial district, we had 1 application, which accounts for roughly 15% and $4,700. In our special districts, so this includes institutional or CDC type districts, we had 1 application. It was $100 that was foregone on that application. This is a total of $14,502 that was not received by the municipality. Residential permits made up just over half of all 2025 development permits issued. However, they accounted for only 24% of the total revenue foregone. That's because they have lower permit fees. In contrast, industrial and commercial permits, while fewer in number, generated the majority of the lost revenue due to the higher fees typically charged for new buildings and major renovations. This is due to the combination of a flat rate for this type of development and a per square meter fee that is associated with them. A closer look at individual permit type shows that a small number of high-value projects contributed to the total foregone revenue. The largest impacts came from obviously a single commercial building permit and a single industrial building permit. As well, I would like to note there was a commercial renovation in here as well, each representing approximately around $4,787 in fees for per development. Although many smaller residential permits were issued, a small set of more complex or higher value developments were responsible for the majority of the revenue that would have otherwise been collected. The previous report identified that the 3-year average revenue from development permits from 2021 to 2023 was $4,929. In comparison, the total value of fees foregone in 2025 was approximately $14,500, which is about 3 times the historic annual average and about $9,500 higher than the original estimate for the year. This difference reflects that there was an increase in overall development activity compared to previous years and the presence of several high-value commercial industrial projects that carry substantial fees under this bylaw schedule. While it cannot be stated with certainty that these increases were solely the result of the fee suspension, the data indicates that 2025 was notably more active development year than the prior 3-year trend suggested. Should also be noted that both industrial and commercial developments that were being planned for 2025 already, and the department had several discussions prior to the waiving of the development fees with both of these projects, regarding both of these projects with the people who are building them. The variety and volume of permits issued in 2025 indicates strong and sustained development interest across the community. Activities span new residential construction, commercial projects, industrial developments, and renovation work, each contributing to expanded housing options, business growth, and overall economic vitality. However, the program also presents notable challenges. The total value of foregone fees was significantly higher than anticipated, placing additional strain on tax-supported operations. Increased permit volumes without the offset of corresponding fee revenue add pressure to administrative capacity, and the continuation of fee exemptions for certain development types may create perceptions of inequity among applicants who remain subject to fees. Overall, 2025 experienced a marked increase in development permit activity with 93 applications to date as of December 5th. We have received a few since then, compared to the 61 applications during all of 2024. It is also important to recognize the role of external factors, particularly the sale of Fournier Place lots at below market value, which helps stimulate residential construction. Of the residential permits issued in 2025, 18 were directly tied to developments in Fournier Place, further contributing to the elevated activity levels. And it's also important to note that Fournier Place lots require variances, which go to MPC, which still pay fees. So they aren't really included in this number here. Sorry. Of the 27 total residential permit fees issued, 7 were for accessory structures, and the remainder were for renovations and or demolitions or other smaller projects. The department is unable to provide data on the removal of the deposit fees that usually were required as well on development due to the 18-month timeline to complete your development. So when a development is completed is when we would reissue the deposit. Deposits are collected as a kind of a way to encourage people to complete their development permits and meet the conditions of their permit. We won't be able to provide any information on that because the earliest permit that was issued will not be until summer of 2026 is when their 18-month period has expired. So I've provided a couple options here. So you can allow the current fee suspension to expire as scheduled, or you could extend the fee suspension, or you could modify the suspension. The decision council proceeds with regarding development permit fees will need to be clear and proactive, and it will be essential to ensure residents, developers, and contractors understand the change and its effective date. So we'll update town's website, social media platforms, and public information materials to reflect the decision made and provide clear guidance on permit requirements. Direct communication will also be shared with local builders and frequent applicants to minimize confusion and support a smooth transition. Our recommendation for the department is that council allow the existing development permit fee suspension to remain in place until December 31st, 2025, and reinstate the full fee schedule under bylaw 12/2025 beginning January 1st, 2026. This approach is simple to administer, restores development permit revenue, and maintains the integrity and consistency of the town's current fee and fine structure. Based on the planning department's review of 2025 development activity, much of the construction and permitting that occurred during the suspension period appeared to have been either previously planned or would have taken place regardless of the fee waiver. Residential development outside of Fournier Place consisted of only 2 new homes, with the majority of remaining residential permits relating to small accessory structures such as shed, gazebos, and greenhouses. As such, the fee suspension does not appear to have been a significant driver for development and in 2025. And should council observe a drastic reduction in development activity following the reinstatement of fees, the planning department notes that council could retain the ability to revisit and reintroduce targeted incentives if necessary to support community growth. Any questions?
Okay. Counselor Williams.
Thank you, Joanna. Appreciate the report and all the work the planning development has done. Since a few big commercial industrial projects cause most of the lost revenue, should we consider giving those incentives only for certain types of projects instead of all the developments? Would that be an option as well?
The projects that happened in 2025 that were applied for were, one was the result of the business needs changing. And so likely they would have continued ahead with that project anyway.
Mhm.
The other one was a rebuild of a building that had been destroyed by fire. So it was already slated to be done in 2024. And also the biggest one obviously is the construction happening on Main Street. And we had been in talks with that owner for 2 to 3 years before he actually broke ground. So I don't think waiving of the fees made a difference on those three
Hmm.
particular projects proceeding.
Okay.
In whether there were fees or not.
Okay, and then my other question would be, how did losing the about 14,500 affect the budget and the staff?
So
with your
it did
department?
decrease our revenue line under our budget for 2025 by about 16,000, roughly around 14,000, $16,000 was compared to what we had originally budgeted for bringing into income. So that's just more money coming out of the tax base versus revenue that could be covering that.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Hudson.
Yeah, thanks again for the information and the tax collected in 2026 from everything that we, like you said, we forego those fees. Would you say it's more or less per year than that total amount of lost revenue?
Are you talking the property taxes that are gonna be, I won't
yeah.
have that information
Yeah,
until we
we
have
don't know.
assessment on those properties.
Okay.
Yeah.
But giving like the standard,
I would probably consider that commercial or industrial properties are at a higher percentage
That's what I thought.
tax base. So yes, I would assume that they,
so that, and even though, like you said, they would have probably been, well, especially the rebuild would have happened no matter what,
Mhm.
because it's obviously insurance and all that. But that other one was a pretty big project that happened, and you know, the little bit of money that they saved in not having to pay those fees, like, is not a huge driver in the amount that they tend to spend. But they will be, like, having something there as opposed to an empty lot is definitely a benefit to the community. And then the tax they pay will probably, within a few years, easily surpass that permit amount. And then with the housing, like residential, even a few extra houses happening per year, if it's if we've only had 5 or 6 a year for the last few years, and now suddenly it's a fairly large, like it's 10 or 15, that would again be pretty beneficial in the long run. So if we're looking at extending that, if we think it's going to get 10 more houses built in Fournier this year, as opposed to if it didn't, it would be almost a no-brainer. If we think it's only a 1 or 2 difference, or it makes no difference, then it would make sense from a financial point just to collect the fees, is kind of what I'm hearing.
I just
In the
want to note
recommendation?
that the Fournier developments still pay fees.
They pay fees no matter what. Okay.
Because their lots need variances that are
Right.
outside of our authority to grant, so they have to go to
Okay.
MPC. So they're actually paying higher fees than the standard development permit for a residential.
If it was
structure.
just an empty lot in the southeast, there would be,
Yeah,
they could apply, but whereas Fournier has to pay due to the variance.
Unless they can meet within the which is
Okay.
really hard to do.
Right.
So-
Okay, that's good. No, I
And
think,
it has to do with how the subdivision was developed and kind of like a lot of the history that goes with Fournier Place.
right.
When it was developed and the lots were actually subdivided, it was developed for a different type of housing development.
Right.
And then the council of the day changed the type of
Okay.
housing that would go in there. And that is why so many variances are required.
Right. Okay, no,
Yeah.
that's good to know. Thank you. And I don't know how many lots around town are empty, but I, Would-
Approximately, the last time we did a count, residential lots in town, including high density,
Mhm.
were roughly around 60
60, okay.
60 to 70 lots in there. So.
Right. And you said only 2 outside of Fournier were built this year.
Yes.
Okay, no, that's great. Thank you.
Counselor Gramlich.
I just had more of a comment. I'm impartial to which way we do it, but previous council, we thought maybe if we had no development fees, a bunch of people would come in. It was more of a test than anything. And obviously that was not the case. If they're coming to build, they're gonna come build. That wasn't a deterrent as we had heard from many people. So just for context, that was the idea behind not having development fees. Joanna kind of has the proof in the pudding. That wasn't the issue. People built because they need to, not because there was no development fees. So just a comment.
I do also just want to comment, I think that the no deposits has likely been a positive factor, but I can't speak to that until we hit that 18-month mark to see if it's been a detriment on trying to get people to close off their development is where, but it definitely has been a positive to not have to pay those deposits for people, especially the one-off developers who are just building like a home on their own, like not having to put $2,000 down And it's usually a cost that they haven't associated in their building already.
And this is just the development permit fees in this report, correct?
This is just development permit fees, yes.
I'll echo Counselor Garlick's sentiment there. It was identified that it was potentially a barrier. I could go either way at this point. My only hesitation of reverting back to the existing fee schedule is that I think it's very hard to determine over 1 year the results of a program. Especially when it comes to changes in things like development, because it is a longer timeline to the completion of any development. So there's that signaling in the market that we're open for business, that I don't know if that takes longer or not to realize. It's not my area of expertise. So that's my only comment there, where I might consider extending longer just because of the timeline for development. Is 12 months is pretty short, but I will leave that. to
Yeah, I
the
think it
council
took
to
about
discuss.
those initial 6 months for people to realize that there were no fees. And then there was also all the sales for Fournier had to close and continue, so.
Any other comments from council? Questions? Counselor Hughes?
Yeah, I'll weigh in now. I'm definitely very torn on this. I can see from the reporting and the statistics that it would probably be better off to just revert back to our usual fee schedule. However, a huge part of me wants to continue on with this for another year just to see what else may happen. I mean, I think we sat here for the first couple of years wondering how can we stimulate growth in our community, and at least it's nice to see something happening now. As Mayor Ward had mentioned, maybe it's taken months to pass along, or maybe it's finally becoming a larger signal to people that we are open for business here. Asking myself, is that worth $20,000 to me? I think it is, absolutely. I think our main concern right now, obviously, is housing in our community, as well as tax base. We need to grow. We need more buildings. We need more tax revenue. And so for me, I would be willing to play in the space of extending this, I believe, and taking a chance that we will see more development, which is something we greatly need.
If council's interested, we could just extend it for the 2026 year.
Counselor Hudson?
Can we extend it then with a planned sunset, like a hard sunset, where we're only gonna do it for 2026 and end it then? Which would then give developers the knowledge that if they want to save it, it's not a lot, but it's something. Then it gives them a little bit of incentive that way.
It's just in how you make the motion.
The program was expected to end December 31st as it is. So this motion to extend it, council at the time, whoever's on council at December
Right.
31st, 26th, prior to that, would have to make the similar decision if it wanted to come back, if we wanted the report to come back to review.
But is there a way to word it in a way that we kind of expect this to end? Well, I mean, I guess that's what it is gonna be sunsetted every time you put something like this through?
The timeline, every
Yeah.
time that it is
Okay.
part of the bylaw, it would end it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
and the
would be that
previous motion also stated that a report was to come back showing the effects of the programs.
Right.
Ashley would like to weigh in?
Okay, thanks.
Ashley, can you think? I don't know what's happening with the mics there. Hold on. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it might have already been answered, but it would just be like to bring it back at the end of the year, because then you would have to give 3 readings to the bylaw. And I don't really think we should break it up to do 1 reading. And then at the end of the year, I think it'd be best to make a motion to bring it back, like Joanna said.
Yeah, so there is that deadline, and we could motion to bring it back. Counselor Bows?
I'm in agreement with Counselor Hughes and everyone else. I'd like to actually extend the no development permit for at least 2026. One of the things in my head is that we sold all those Fournier lots this year. And I think you said 18 of the 27 residential permits were for Fournier. You know, we want more housing in the town. So knowing that they don't have to pay they have to pay the Fournier fees, but maybe it'll spur everybody to get them done.
It's still a saving on not having to pay the deposit, which is a
And, yeah.
$2,000 deposit on a single family development.
Sounds like a motion to me.
I would just like to know if you're gonna make the motion, can you please be very specific in the sections of bylaw 12/2025 that you are applying the waiver to. So that would be Schedule A, Section 1, Section 3, and 5.3 and 5.8.
Schedule A, section 1. What were the rest of the?
Oh, sorry, Section 3, 5.3 and 5.8. Those are the same development permit fees that were not due.
So what we could, so the motion that says, this is the motion that you want to make, there's a motion in the package where she could change the date to December 31st, 2026, and then add those sections.
Yeah, if you go to the options.
Oh.
So you can extend the fee, so you can extend the full suspension of DP fees for residential.
Mhm.
And put your dates in there,
Yeah,
and you can just read that as your motion. So move to extend the full suspension.
Okay, I'll give it a shot then. Okay, so I'd like to move that council direct administration to extend the fee suspension of development permit fees for residential, commercial, industrial, and specified miscellaneous permits for an additional 12 months to the end of December 2026. And that at that time, at January 1st, 2027, we would reestablish the fee schedule under bylaw 12-2025.
Yes.
Yay.
okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that one is carried. Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you. Have a great night and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too. Very festive. Appreciate the tire. Thank you for coming in theme. All right, operations, budget discussion.
So while Roland's getting set up there on the document that was sent out today, we're on page 87.
Page 87.
So that is today's date, Councillor Bowes, not December 8th.
Right.
So we have a few items from operations to clear up. And then, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, good evening, your worship and members of council. So I believe we left off right at the gravel streets, page 87 of the package. We can just continue on from there. So the gravel street program really is for all our gravel roads within town. We've opted to do basically a 2-year cycle where 1 year we fully fund the program for 70,000, and the next year we cut the program back in half for $35,000. So really that's the biggest, the bulk change in the gravel streets for 2025. We also looked at our dust control and water truck program and looked back on past usage. I think they've kind of optimized that. So instead of needing the $34,000, they were only asking for 25, so a $9,000 reduction for the program.
Okay. Keep going.
Any questions on that? If not, we'll go to paved roads. Paved roads are really the only change here. Just an additional $5,000 for contracted repairs and maintenance. So this goes towards our patching program. So basically with the little bit extra costs here, we're just looking to maintain our pothole repair program and be able to fill what we have right now. And then the other change on here, you'll just see power to streetlights. So now that the streetlights is just one line item, we've decided to move that into here and move forward. So really no significant changes for our paved road programs.
All right.
Any questions?
Not at the moment.
So moving on to our drainage program. So the drainage program in town does all our catch basins, all the ditches, all the culverts. So there's a fall and a spring program there where we go through and flush them all, make sure that the water can flow through. And all we've done here is consolidated two line items into one for contracted services with no budget change.
I lied to you and said I didn't have any questions about paved roads, but I do, because it took me a moment to pull up the actuals. And I'm assuming it's timing of expenses based on when we got the actuals for 2025. But if I go into tar crack sealant and cold mix, our actuals at the time that I have are 0. And so I have questions.
What were the two you were looking at? Sorry.
Pardon?
What were the two?
Tar crack sealant and cold mix
Yeah,
under
so we
paved road
spent
details.
year to date now, 30,083 and for the tar crack,
Okay,
and cold mix 13,850.
okay, perfect. Okay, so we're right on there. I don't know why that was odd. Okay, perfect. As long as the actuals, I just want, that's what I was questioning on those, is making sure that we're in the line there. Now we can go back, sorry, to drainage.
Drainage, yeah, so really no change here for the program, keeping status quo, just consolidating some line items.
So I was also taking a look at, let's go proposed 2026 budget. So we moved 30,000 to contracted services.
Yeah, so we just took the equipment repairs and maintenance and equipment rental and consolidated in contracted services. Because at the end of the day, mostly what they do use is a contracted service to do
Okay.
both of the.
And so our year to date for equipment rental is, at this time, was 5,558. And that's, we're budgeting 10, which I'm just now under contracted services. And for equipment repair and maintenance, we were budgeting 20 and we're at 14,752. I understand we probably have stuff in November, December, but I'm curious.
Yeah, so the actual year to dates as of right now, in equipment repairs is $20,002.
Okay.
Equipment rentals, 9,998.
Perfect. Then those are right on target. Any other questions on those? I see none.
Snow removal, again here, no real change. We've just kind of reorganized where the expenses are within a line item. So we've moved 60,000 out of equipment rental and just put it into contracted services. Just better reflects the reality of the services that we use.
Okay.
Mayor Ward, can I?
Yes.
I'd like to add this to the discussion when we meet as a group, snow removal. So over the last 10 days, obviously, we've had a fair amount of snow. You know, we've gone outside of our regular service level to maintain what we have today. And I think the result has been good, but it's something we should, if you guys like the service level, we should discuss it a bit more in depth before we finalize the budget.
Yeah, when we have strategic planning in January with new council, then we can make sure we flag service levels as a whole, like per department, at service levels per department as part of the things to be addressed in strategic planning, because then that will address council's vision of the town and go from there. And then, yes, that will be reflected in budget.
And just for you guys, the service level for snow removal is in the first paragraph here for snow.
Yes, it's just the excess, like
Yeah.
if we're looking for more
Absolutely.
or
And I think we've done
alternatively
a
less.
fairly good job in the last couple of years of going above and beyond and staying on budget simply for the fact that the snow levels haven't really been
Yes.
seasonal.
Yes. Oh.
2025 is, turning out to be the exception, but for the past couple of years, I think it's been fairly low.
Okay. I don't see any questions on snow removal at the moment.
Streetlights, so we talked about that, just closed that down and moved it over to paved roads. Traffic control, so within traffic control, we have all of our static signs, stop signs or crosswalks, as well as all of our traffic lights, so our signal lights. And so this is the budget for for those items. So just a slight increase on a couple of the items here. Equipment repairs and maintenance. So we are expecting a little bit of extra additional repairs on some of the lights. We are expecting a couple of additional increases for our rail crossing maintenance. So previous budgets, we are budgeting not for our new railroad crossing here right out in front of the town. So in talks with CN, having to repair some of that is a little bit more expensive than what we had before. So we just bumped that up a little bit. And materials, that goes for our line painting program. And so while we are kind of switching over to that plastics, or not plastic, but the built-in stuff, the cost for paints is significantly increasing. So we do require a little bit extra just to do the less, but more on that item.
Quick question on CN. So I know from operations, we are not allowed to maintain the snow removal on the crossings. That's why when you go over them, good luck to your vehicle. But we are, however, required to do the railway crossing maintenance.
Yeah, they do invoice us from time to time for the railroad crossings.
So we have to maintain the crossing, but we're not allowed to do the snow removal across it.
We don't do the work. They'll come
They
and do
pay
the
for it.
work and then they'll bill us.
Hold on, you have to, if you're gonna, ooh. Hold tight. We have to buzz
We
in.
are not allowed
Otherwise it
to
doesn't get,
touch
thank
their,
you.
yeah, I mean,
Counselor Bowes.
Okay, so now I'll just repeat it so
Yeah.
everybody can hear. So yeah, so they will do the maintenance and bill us for the signs. But we're not allowed to maintain the roads. So I'm
correct.
just,
And I don't think we'd want to either ways. You don't want a grader accidentally going over one of the railroad tracks, clipping it and then having the train go through and that's on us, right? They're the
Yeah.
professionals on clearing the
no,
snow.
but I will actually just, Alex is probably gonna say something about this, just, I don't drive a really high vehicle. But I know that over on the other, on the Ring Road Caribou Trail, wow, it's fun going over those. And this one here, are we allowed to
No.
clear that?
Yeah, Alex is gonna weigh in.
So two things, as far as the maintenance goes, it is cost shared. We don't eat the whole cost of the maintenance. It is cost shared between, I don't have the formula in front of me. As far as the snow removal goes, our operations guys are in constant contact with CN. We're dealing with a big entity. They were supposed to be here on Monday so what happens is they send a crew to dig all the snow out, get it all, and then we work with them with a loader on kind of our side. They're due here tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. So
Okay.
Duly noted, we've had a number of calls about the tracks. Unfortunately, they're self-regulated and we can only go up so far up the chain, but our operations guys have been in constant contact and we're at their mercy. But
We're
they are
basically
supposed
at
to be coming
their
tomorrow.
kind of where they're sitting. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
And that was more so the commentary as we're dealing with snow removal and a variety of things, is that we have issues with the tracks, but we are only limited to the, just like we're not responsible for the highways. Same
Yeah.
thing.
And we are, so we do harass CN as much as possible to,
No, there's a cost, so cost sharing for railway crossing maintenance, and we're responsible for a portion of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Counselor Bowes.
Oh, I did push that. And I know that there was an internal email sent out about all this, but since we are on YouTube and everything, I'm just gonna say again to any of the operations guys out there. Yeah, quite honestly, people at work were talking, and to me, it seemed that roads were cleared quicker than maybe what they were. And maybe it is because we got such a huge amount of snow, but very impressive for all the guys who are out there every day, probably for the last week and a half doing the clearing. So I just want to say that out there. Thank you very much.
Sentiment echoed from council, also through email, appreciated. So yes, agreed. It's been great. And a lot of it's been coming from, our directors and the CAO on that. And looking at what we do a lot of things to, we've 95%, and just taking a look at some of those extra details has made a huge difference, and in a horrible week for snow. What else do we have left in operations there, Roland?
so we just have two, we have engineering.
Okay,
So again, no real changes to engineering. We moved one line, $2,200 out of general services. Simply was an IT license for GIS art program. Move that over to ITV licensing, and that was really the only substantial change.
Okay, I see nothing there.
And then the last one is cemetery. And so all we've done here, we distributed the materials budget there, two contracted services. For grass cutting that's being done up at the cemetery, reduced our materials budget in line with what we require up there. So a lot of the materials budget there is for the sales of goods. So we do sell plot liners and other materials up there, along with a little bit of black dirt goes into the materials.
All is quiet on that.
And that is the end of operations.
That is the end of operations. I would entertain a motion from council on that. Let's do motion by department. Councillor Choba.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the operations budget discussions as information.
Perfect. Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Called to question, those in favor. And that one is carried. Excellent. We will take, before we launch into community services, we're just going to take a 5-minute recess. And Roland can take a quick breath and then we'll come back. Yes, please. Thank you. Welcome back. We're going to move into community services now.
All right, good evening. So I'm here with Joe, the Community Services Director. So we'll let him go over his department and kind of let everybody know exactly what community services entails. And then from there, we can jump into the budget.
129?
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. To provide a quick Community Services Department overview, the Community Services Department of the Town of Slave Lake is responsible for a broad and interconnected range of programs, facilities, and community support functions that collectively shape the social, recreational, and physical landscape of the community. The department's mandate is to enrich the quality of life for residents and promote active and healthy lifestyles, support community resilience, and maintain essential public infrastructure. Through the department divisions, facilities, parks, the MRC, including arena operations, scheduling, programming and events, and family and community support services, or FCSS, and the Northern Lights Aquatic Center. The facilities division oversees the maintenance, operation, and life cycle care of the town's major buildings and community spaces. This includes the government center and the town offices. The division ensures that these facilities remain safe, functioning, and welcoming through rigorous maintenance standards, efficient scheduling, responsive repair processes, and long-term asset planning. Park staff are responsible for parks maintenance and for the stewardship of outdoor recreation, green space resources, including playgrounds, sports fields, outdoor rinks, landscaped areas, and the town's extensive trail network. The division handles tree management, irrigation systems, outdoor beautification, and public space cleanliness. These amenities play a crucial role in attracting residents, providing safe places to gather, and contributing to mental and physical well-being. MRC programming. Through MRC programming, the town delivers a full range of recreational opportunities, including youth camps, seasonal events, fitness programs, family-oriented activities, drop-in sports, workshops, and holiday celebrations. These programs strengthen the community engagement, provide accessible options for families, and foster social connection. Again, FCSS, Family and Community Support Services, plays a vital social development role by delivering preventative focused programs that support individuals, families, seniors, and volunteers, and vulnerable populations. FCSS initiatives reduce isolation, build community capacity, and promote emotional and social well-being through outreach and education. FCSS offers direct programming and indirect programming. And finally, the Northern Lights Aquatic Center provides essential aquatic programming, including swim lessons, water safety training, public swims, aquatic fitness, and private rentals. As a regional facility drawing users from throughout the area, it supports health and recreation, safety, and youth development. Together, these divisions form a comprehensive service network that enhances the attractiveness, livability, and resilience of the town of Slave Lake. Some accomplishments. Over the past year, community services has achieved significant progress across multiple areas, reflecting strong operational management and commitment to quality service delivery. The facilities division implemented improved preventative maintenance procedures, conducted mechanical systems inspections and upgrades, and advanced life cycle planning for key assets such as HVAC systems, alarms, and aging building infrastructure. Parks achieved outcomes through trail resurfacing in targeted areas and ongoing playground safety inspections and asset management. The MRC Arena experienced high levels of utilization, hosting successful tournaments, strong minor hockey and figure skating seasons, and increased public skating participation and increased private rentals. Improvements in ice quality, operational scheduling, and spectator amenities, such as our new sound system, contributed to a positive user experience and improved operational reliability. MRC programming delivered a comprehensive lineup of programs, including well-attended summer camps, PD day camps, Frost Fest, Canada Day events, youth nights, fitness opportunities, and community celebrations. Expanded sponsor partnerships helped the department diversify offerings, while strong attendance demonstrated clear community demand. Programming was also responsible for putting together day camps during the teacher strike this year. Not obviously something budgeted for, and a shout out to those programming staff that made that a success. FCSS expanded outreach services, enhanced volunteer development programs, delivered senior support initiatives, and increased youth engagement activities through partnerships with schools and community organizations. FCSS also strengthened community capacity building efforts focused on prevention, mental health promotion, and family resilience. And the NLAC, the Northern Lights Aquatic Center, achieved growth in lesson registrations, certifications, private school rentals and public swim attendants over the past year. Staff training was strengthened through additional lifeguard development. Collectively, these accomplishments reflect a robust, dedicated service environment and demonstrate the department's essential role in strengthening community well-being. And I would be remiss if I did not also mention, on behalf of the department, our partnership with the Slave Lake Ice Patrol, or SLIP, who work tirelessly through the winter months to ensure their outdoor rinks are of the highest standard, and including what is to be a 4th rink at St. Mary's this winter. Some emerging issues: although Community Services Department continues to deliver strong results, there are emerging challenges that will influence future planning and operational decisions. Primary concern is the age and life cycle condition of some of our facilities. The MRC and Aquatic Center require ongoing investment to maintain mechanical reliability, energy efficiency, accessibility, and user comfort. Rising costs for trades, materials, and specialized equipment further challenge operational budgets. Staff recruitment and retention remain persistent constraints, particularly in specialized roles such as our certified lifeguards and facility operators. A competitive labor market combined with specialized nature of some positions creates challenges in maintaining consistent staffing levels. Community expectations continue to grow in terms of programming variety, hours of operation, facility enhancements, event offerings, and recreational diversity. Balancing these expectations with existing resources requires careful prioritization and ongoing communication with residents and our user groups. Initiatives. The department is pursuing several initiatives to address challenges, support growth, and enhance quality of services. Facility operations are advancing improved asset management planning, including updated condition assessments, refined life cycle projections, and more strategic capital forecasting. The department is implementing improved work order tracking, enhanced energy monitoring, and updated preventive maintenance protocols. In parks, new initiatives include expanding accessibility features, advanced tree replanting strategies, increased grant submissions to improve revenue, and upgrading signage and reviewing trail connectivity in alignment with community growth patterns. Programming and events is focusing on broadening engagement opportunities, expanding youth leadership development, enhancing partnerships with community groups. And FCSS is working on strengthening seniors outreach, expanding mental health and social inclusion initiatives, and increasing volunteer recruitment strategies. And Aquatics is working on ensuring we have lifeguards in the future, improving training pathways, and optimizing our scheduling to meet demand. So strategic plan, in conclusion, suggestions for council, exploring a long-term facility reinvestment strategy, a parks and trails strategic plan, and discussions and a review of service levels across all divisions as previously discussed by council. These elements provide a strong foundation for a forward-looking strategic plan that aligns with community needs, organizational capacity, and council's long-term vision. And in conclusion, I'd like to thank the managers of the Community Services Department, as well as all of the staff that have worked tirelessly over this past year to ensure programming and facilities were maintained and available for our user groups across the community and the region.
Excellent service level update. Appreciate that.
Perfect. So if we just want to jump to page 134, we can start with Community Services Administration.
Yeah.
So within this, we just have 2 FTEs. We have the director as well as the facility manager. No real big changes here. A slight addition to legal services.
What's our year to date on the legal services?
So on this one, there is, I know that we have 500, but I know there's one outstanding one for about $1,500 as well.
Okay, so that's where the 2's coming from?
Yeah. And outside of that, we've just expanded some of the additional software we had for our IT licensing. So prior to this, we had just the ActiveNet subscription. From there, we just needed a scheduling program as well as some additional in-house software for
ActiveNet
posters and
ActiveNet doesn't have scheduling? No, I'm hearing a resounding no from,
not staff scheduling. It's got program scheduling,
oh, and it doesn't do that.
not for staff. No.
Okay, any questions on administration? All right, continue forward.
Next one there, was just the Visitor Information Center. So no changes there. Still have it as we're not running it this year. And then moving into that, we have FCSS. And we can jump to page 139. So FCSS is a provincially funded program for the most part. Basically, the town has to contribute a minimum of 20% to get the provincial grant funding. And overall, there's really no changes in the program for 2026. Darcy is going to do some new programs, as Joe mentioned there, but all within the existing budget. And the town is funding basically right at the edge of the minimum contribution.
I do have a question for youth programs. So I assume I should just ask, what's our year-to-date Roland? Because I'm the version I'm looking at. I imagined it was up. I just wanted to just double check before I go down a line of questioning there.
So youth, we are sitting at 11,000.
Perfect. That negates my question from there. So under sale of general services, what is that, Darcy, if you want to join at the mic?
Maybe the Rose.
Thank you, thank you.
The sale of general services is the work that Tammy does, the home supports that Tammy does. She charges a minimal fee
Okay,
to seniors, and that's what we collect back. We also, in that general FCSS income one, we oversee all of the funding for Slave Lake Canary Mental Health, but we don't report that to the province. We just do it under FCSS. So that's a $24,000 revenue that you'll see in there. And then I just met with Abby, and in 2026, we're going to kind of take on all of the financial part for the Youth Advisory Committee.
okay, and my question is along the budget of sale of general services. As we know, we've lived through a few budgets with me here, is I like to make actuals either way. It's not always, reducing things to what we're using, but in this case, for sale of general services, I've got a proposed 2026 budget of 15,000, and the year-to-date actuals that I had, which is about a month and a half ago, is 5,200. So I'm just curious what.
It's been under every year.
Right.
I don't know where that 15,000 came from. It's been there ever since I've been here.
Okay, that's what I'm asking on either way. In my general preference is to move things to what are we actually taking in? Like, what does it actually cost to run the town? What are we actually bringing in? So I was just curious what our actuals
On the sale of general services, we're generally hitting the $5,000 mark. However, there is additional or other revenue that we do generate, which bounces anywhere between 15 and 30,000.
Okay.
So while it's not directly sale of general services, it's definitely trickles in as other revenue.
Okay, yeah, so that makes that, so if we put sale of general services at 5 and then kind of took a stab guess at, averaged out 5-6 years of other services and throws it.
We get in line with the.
Just for consistency in my brain, it makes sense, because then I think I will likely always question what sale of general services is. I'm pretty sure I've asked you that before and never remember. Because the title doesn't make sense to me, but now I know what that is. Yeah, I was just questioning what that is. So other revenue fluctuates. That's why we typically haven't budgeted for that. But the services that Tammy provides for senior support is around 5. Okay. Okay. Anything else for FCSS? No. Special events next, or where am I?
So special events, page 143. So within community programming here, we've just kind of reallocated some of the salaries. So you'll see special events, we just decreased by 43,500 and moved that between adult programming and youth programming. Generally more where we targeted this year in 2025. And outside of that, special events, really there's no targeted changes there.
Contracted services is what?
So contracted services for special events. Mainly encompasses Canada Day entertainment. So whenever we're hosting the Canada Day, that's whether it's blow ups or whatever else is needed to run
Okay.
the day.
And equipment rental is the same. I thought equipment rental was the blow up bouncy house. Like,
Yeah, we have, whatever's you have the service.
I was going to speak to that. Yeah, Canada Day being most of these charges in relation to special event, Frost Fest, we oversee and assist and work with other community partners. So the majority of our events, special event fees relate to Canada Day.
okay. And so then the equipment rental, I see like there. Is that
Yeah,
the,
that'll be a bounce account, sorry.
that's the Frost
Special
Fest
contracted
bouncy
Services, we just have like entertainment.
entertainment for Canada Day and then the
Bouncy
astronomical
castle,
cost for
whatever we're renting.
inflatable?
Yeah.
Okay. And program supplies, what's our year to date on that?
Program supplies, so we do have. We're at $4,100.
Okay, so my only question is, for this department is, we have a budget of 8,700, we're at 4,100. We don't really, as far as I know, we don't have anything major
No,
going on.
we're
for
over in the other areas, so that's why there's a little bit less on that line item. So in contracted services, we spent $9,000 out of a $6,500 budget. And for equipment rental, we spent $20,000 out of an $11,000 budget.
Okay.
So with the
Moving
three
through.
line items there, I know we wanted additional services this year. So that's kind of,
Okay,
while that one line item shows under.
yep,
really-
no, that's, I was just curious is if that's our intention is, to go more towards like the entertainment, we need less physical supplies and more contracted, it's just a between category thing?
And as a reminder to new members of council, the programming that's done for special events, adult and youth programming are all done by our programmer at the MRC. So it's sort of a balance sometimes depending on what happens and what comes up through the year, where we take funding out of sort of those pool.
Sure.
Good, okay. Adult programming, so here, as just alluded to there, just a reallocation of wages from special events and no changes.
Move through to youth programming.
Good for youth programming. Again, reallocation of wages and budgets, no additional asks.
So I'm gonna quickly question, same thing as usual. So contracted services and program supplies. The year to date that I have, what are your year to dates? We'll start there. Under youth, contracted services and program supplies.
Contracted is 4,000 and supplies were 1,300.
Okay.
So again, this year, because of the overages in these special events, that's generally, we're trying to cover it with the other operating budgets within the programming budget itself.
Yeah, my curiosity is just if we should, if it needs to be a permanent move to special events,
In
or if it's
2024, We spent $50,000 or $5,040 in program supplies, and contracted services was 3,600.
yeah, so we are over in that, and I understand we're building in a little bit of a pool to do that, so if special events is going to fluctuate, like if we anticipate to do the same level of special events we did last year, then I think we may need to look at adjusting the budget to actuals and instead of kind of like the moving thing. Because if that's how much it costs to have the special events, I think it's a little more transparent saying, hey, you know, Canada Day costs XYZ, the Bouncy Castles for Frost Fest, this is how much having these types of free events for our community cost. So that's all my questioning is I understand we've made it work within the department, which is ultimately what we're asking everyone to do and can't be perfect. My curiosity lies in why I'm asking what the actuals are, is what did it actually cost to have those special events? Because when council goes to strategic planning, that's you know, that's a service level. Is, you know, if you could want to continue doing that. Go ahead, Joe.
And if I may speak to that, and hopefully something we can address and discuss a little further in strategic planning. For a community our size, our program staff do an amazing job offering the adult, youth, and seniors programs when we do. In reviewing our budget and staffing numbers in relation to communities such as Whitecourt and down the corridor, they're usually anywhere from 3 to 4 times larger. So I really appreciate the work that's done and the assistance of our local contractors that make themselves available to offer programming through the MRC.
Councillor Gramlich.
Yeah, I was gonna comment and maybe Joe would agree or not agree, but we could throw more money at the special events or make it a real number, but ultimately they would probably need another staff member to have bigger or better special events. It's lower sometimes because he identified the person can't keep up. So keep that in mind. If for strategic plan, it's not just going to be a number for the event. It'd probably be a staff member or so, right? Probably.
The reality is, you know, prior to our current programmer coming on board, we had a staff member who's now unfortunately had to move to Ontario, who took a lot of this on and really stretched herself thin and kept the numbers down. And I think we had some realistic conversations when new staff came on board to say, if we're going to be able to run these types of programs and improve them, this is the reality of our staffing numbers and cost. And it's not a slight, it's just a reality. It's a great deal of work. And I wouldn't want to lose our staff because we're trying to stretch them too thin in this particular area.
Absolutely. And my comments were less on the like cut and slash based on actuals because everyone's terrified when I speak. They're like, what are you going to get rid of? And it's not that, it's about knowing that's why I'm asking what's in contracted services, what's in program supplies. And Roland did a good job speaking to that we're moving the overages because of the bouncy castles. Were that from a service level perspective from council, what we need to address in strategic plan is if we're content with the service level it is and the events we have, this is what this costs. And so that's why it's good to know that this is Canada Day is mostly what was in that line item because the rest is split out through community partners. And that's good for us to know. And that if we wanted to do more, it is going to involve more staffing.
It will. We're really seeing that, for instance, in our summer camps, we are maxed out for our numbers based on the staffing we have on our budget lines. And I think we have capacity potentially and interest for more programming registrations in those areas, but currently we are maxed out. And part of that is also factors such as, you know, bus rentals. Currently our programs run at about 30 so that we can have staff drive a town vehicle, senior program staff, and then also be able to fit all of our campers on the bus with our junior staff. So it's sort of, we're right on a tipping point for some of these program offerings.
No, that's a great point. It's trying to put a perspective behind the numbers. This is what we offer. This is how much this costs because contracted services just as a line like can mean just about anything. So that's why that's my commentary there. I will ask on the clothing budget for youth programming. Are we planning on making that order? Yes.
I just wanted to speak on the program supply budget.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
We do cost share with FCSS and youth programming because the MRC staff do run some FCSS youth programs.
Yep.
So one of the reason their numbers is lower is because we're cost sharing supplies, but every other year those supplies need to be replenished. And so that is something that's.
No, that makes sense. And then the clothing for the youth programming, $1,000. We have a year-to-date spend on that. Zero. Just haven't needed any at the moment, or Alex?
Normally they buy like for the new staff coming on board. This year they had enough that they didn't have to. It's t-shirts and sweaters, I think.
Yeah, I figured it was staff clothing. I was just curious if
Yes.
some of it came out of the MRC.
Some of it came out of the MRC budget this year.
Yeah, that was a new initiative in 2025. We had just added that, so I think.
Yep, no, great initiative. I'm just following up on some of the, we've removed freight and postage, so I don't have to go on my freight and postage rent. So thank you, appreciated that. Just, again, just asking for context on that. So I don't see any, is there any other comments, questions, community programming? I see none. Are we up to the multi-rec center? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We want to jump over to page 148. So on revenue line items, we've just gone and kind of updated some of the numbers there just to reflect the actuals that we're seeing. So just slight adjustments there to youth fees. We've adjusted adult fees kind of in the range of what we actually see at the MRC. And increased field house youth based on the current trends that we're also seeing. So that's for revenue. Now, when we move into expenses, for the changes to the overtime, hourly wages and benefits. So in 2025, council did ask for increased service levels over at the MRC. And so most of this budget now here is just a reflection of the increase in the services that we provide in 2025 that we hadn't budgeted for, that we did include in 2026 to maintain the additional service levels that we are providing over at the MRC.
Part of that in relation to staffing and service levels relates to summer ice. Also too, we've been ensuring that we have extra staff on through September to March 31st because the MRC, particularly on weekends and evenings, is just really increased in usage and numbers. So having one front desk staff member to try and facilitate changeovers in on the dry floor side of things, as well as to meet the needs of our arenas and coordinate with staff. It's been very noticeable and I think appreciated by our user groups and our partners the last few months.
Speaking of user groups, I'll just jump back while we're going through this. What's our revenue on the revenue side? What's our user group fees year to date?
Year to date, we have 132,000.
Thanks.
And just a quick note to members of mayor and council, moving into the winter session, as Ashley could speak to, we have our after school available drop-in programming on the dry floor, and then we go into scheduled usage of pickleball and our programs into the evening. And then we've got Saturday and Sunday clear for drop-in for our members of the community come in and family time over and above our scheduled programming. So we're getting really maximized use from programming and drop-in side at the MRC in the field house in the winter. And we really worked hard to ensure that we don't have any groups displaced when we have our crossover in the spring, when baseball comes in and we have our annual sort of crossover there. So that's been very well received. And we've been able to facilitate soccer for a longer period of time on Thursdays, which has also been well received. And we've got cricket on Fridays. So we're trying to leave Saturday and Sunday open, particularly too, because we've got a decrease in evening times. And also too, when we have partners try and book during that time, they usually are okay verbally and accept the caveat that they may be bumped for events that take place in the field house. And then we usually have pushback when we do. So we're keeping that Saturday, Sunday clear for future availability for drop-in and families in our current programs.
So yeah, so internet services, you'll see that go up. So that's in anticipation of having fiber fully rolled out at the MRC.
What's the likelihood of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the likely timeline of that?
The likely timeline of that was supposed to be September. We're still on them. I think we're still optimistic that it should be done here soon.
Should be done in, oh, it was supposed to be this past September.
Yes, actually, it was supposed to be this past June. So we have moved mountains again with TELUS, where the town actually, they were going to do a lot of the drilling and some of that work, and we did not want to wait for them. So we took that on in-house and put those components in again, much like we did at the fire hall. So hopefully, once we can get TELUS to actually sign off on that, all they have to do is walk in the building and flip their switch and do their final connection, and we're good to go. So my hat's off to Kush to continually following up and harassing TELUS on a weekly basis to move this forward.
Some robust internet there would be appreciated.
Outside of that, so we've just gone through and updated a couple of items here to better reflect or better try and bring them in line with our needs here. So our equipment repairs and maintenance, increasing that, our building repairs and maintenance, bringing up our contracted services to actually reflect what is required over there with the additional services increase. So this includes anything additional janitorial services for tournaments, our garbage collection, our mat rentals, our play pen cleaning, snow removal, and a whole bunch of other behind the scenes HVAC inspections, health and safety inspections, and those things of that nature.
Bumping up to, back up a couple lines to mobile device services. Year-to-date spend is what? How much?
$77.
$77. Why are we at 3,000? What is that for?
So that one we left in there. So in part of the plan there, MRC does have a couple of cell phones that will be replaced under this. So this is part of the cell phone replacement program. And the reason we keep that in there is it doesn't go in our general pocket because community services is a cost sharing item. And now that we have a new plan, we should be able to fully utilize that. Again, it wasn't utilized in the past, just there is a different director overseeing those services.
Okay.
Oops.
Anything further from council on this part of the budget? Continue on for now.
On there, yeah, just for a couple other items there. So the IT licensing, that's actually for our firewall software. Again, a little bit bumped up service there, a little bit newer on there. And we also, it was a little bit, it was put in the IT budget. We've moved it over here simply because it's over there and it should be cost shared. Other than that, yeah, that's kind of the remainder of the budget. The only other one notable item here, so under transfer to reserve, you see $40,000. So in the past, we've done $20,000 here and $20,000 into the pool. They both go to the same reserve, so I just stopped accounting for it under the Northern Lakes College budget, and we have a $40,000 increase here. It's the same transfer to reserve as we normally do. It's just under the one. Just makes more sense. Outside of that, we can move on to parks and sports fields.
You bet.
So we can move to page 152. So some of the wages for parks we reduced just to align better with what we have actually allocated to there, and that allocation did go into the MRC. Outside of that, we have just kind of reorganized some of the line items. So contracted services goes down by 15,000. We've better aligned that to where those expenditures actually are in the line item called vegetation, which now kind of encompasses our trees, our shrubs, anything that's green and growing. So I just got it. Or it's green and we don't want growing rents, right? It also encompasses our weed removal.
With Himalayan balsam, which is something that the government, the province has contacted us and reached out, and we've also had citizen complaints. So we had not previously in the past had a budget line for contracted services for removal of this noxious weed, and it's definitely a priority for the province and us as the town to ensure that it is removed, particularly along our green spaces that we're responsible for.
So under parks for contracted services, the big services that we do have there is porta potties, snow removal for the trail system within the parks, pest control and arborist services. And for vegetation, we now have set up an amount for our flower baskets, grass shrubs, new trees and tree removal, because we are finding that trees are falling down in our parks and we do have to remove them. And it's not cheap.
What's our equipment repair and maintenance year to date?
So our equipment repairs and maintenance right now is at 24,000.
So my line of questioning on this one is we go to the 2023 budget. So 2023 budget, we budgeted 45,500. And then for the 2024 approved, we added 2,000. So we're at 47,500. Our 24 year-to-date actuals were just under 35,000. So we were underspent in 2024. Our 2025 budget, we upped by $2,000 from 2024, and our year-to-date spend is so far 10 grand less than the 2024 actuals. So my question is, we are
So on this one
30,000
here,
under
we have
budget to
year to dates on our infrastructure repair. It's at 19,000, and I know there is another $5,000 invoice that's coming on there, and we only had a budget of 8. So on the equipment repairs there, we held back a little bit this year simply because where more of the money was spent was on the infrastructure side, not on the equipment itself.
Okay, so that's fine. So infrastructure repair, previous year's budget was in line. We spent 6,331. So if we go to infrastructure repair, we're call it 10 grand over, 15 grand over, and we're still 25 under there, and we're asking for an additional. So just anytime there's an additional for equipment repair and maintenance, like that line keeps creeping up, but if infrastructure repair needs more, put it there. Would be my commentary on that. Maybe historically it doesn't, but historically equipment repair and maintenance isn't climbing the way the budget is climbing. Or if we're holding back, that's fine. We need to fix some of our items then, or what's going on.
Yeah, we can look further into that.
Okay, that would be great if I could just get some more information on those two departments, or not two departments. Sorry, long day. Those two line items. Not two departments.
We added them to the list.
Thank you. If you can just add that to the list just for more, just curiosity on the trend over the last 5 years would be fine by me on those two line items. Thank you. That's the rant. Rant is over.
Oh, yeah, and some of that will go, and the reason why we didn't cover that is when we go into sports fields. There was definitely a lot of maintenance required here. So sports fields, again, just reallocating some of the money based upon where we've seen it or where we need it, less in materials and more in contracted services. And so our contracted services in sports field, our year to date is actually 91,000 out of a $55,000 budget.
And is that all grass cutting? What is that?
So contracted, no, this is on our sports fields. That covers our ball diamond landscape maintenance services. Our line painting of fields, miscellaneous cleanup of trees, garbages for sporting events when there's garbage all over the field. And also spring cleanup after the snow melts to get the fields up and running. And so this year there was a significant chunk of change required to be put into the ball diamonds. So that's where that equipment repairs and maintenance budget in the parks, while it doesn't show fully expended, we did reallocate those funds into the sports fields.
And of note, in discussions with Calvin and doing a site tour, we've got at our ball diamonds, most of that general infrastructure, fencing, backstops, dugouts, all of those pieces are original. They were done with the support of local sponsorship many, many years ago. And over the coming years will need to be replaced to keep the standard of care and the level of quality of our fields. So something that we'll be discussing in future.
Yeah, just looking at the, yeah, that's interesting. I know we obviously don't want to charge fees to gouge groups to death, but if we're taking a look at our fees for the sports field were 24,000, so that includes all tournaments and the like. And it has costed $95,000 just with contracted services, materials and power, not including any of the department's staff time. So that's an interesting discrepancy. This will always run at a loss. It's community services. It's not run like a business. It's run like a family. I get that part of it. But that is, when we're looking at hosting large tournaments that come in, especially with garbage cleanup. That's interesting. Sorry? And the fees weren't anything magical.
It is a draw to the community and I guess.
Yeah,
Going for, right? It's lots of
Calvin
people.
indicated that we hosted 2 provincial tournaments last year. That's correct.
Yes, one at Charity and one at Sinclair Fields. Yeah, so that's some of the expense there as well.
Yeah, it's revenue side of things. So our 2024 actual for sports field was 19,247, and we are on year-to-date actuals. What is it for sports field? I have 18,724, but it's not updated. I assume that'd be close to it though.
18,724.
So we had 2, so my whole thought on this is it's never gonna, I'm not expecting this to make money, so that's not where this discussion is coming from, but we hosted 2 provincial tournaments. So while great for the economy of the town and absolutely that, it's interesting that we actually have only $1,000 more in sports field usage revenue, and we have more than $30,000 increase in cost. So that's an interesting consideration when it comes to council. And just a note to new councillors, when we're looking at our strategic planning, we always talk about hosting tournaments and hosting events and wanting to be a hub for things. And sometimes that is absolutely fantastic for the community and for businesses in our community, but it does come at a cost to all residents through property taxes who may not be part of those. So as we're discussing in strategic planning, I know in previous iterations of council, there's been lots of discussions about hosting more tournaments, and there, it sounds like there's a child or a small bird screaming somewhere. Sorry, that's the weird look that everyone at this table just looked that way. There's been a lot of discussions about service levels and having tournaments in. Let's do more tournaments. Let's bring in that. That's been discussed at this council table multiple times. It's very interesting, especially with sports field, because it can be allocated so cleanly out of everything that the cost discrepancy is exponential. And so that'll be something in strategic planning to establish if it is worth the council push to continue requesting that, and if in any way there may be looking at some fee adjustments, especially on the garbage cleanup end of that, because that's specifically not factoring the flood, Mother Nature, but garbage cleanup would be specifically towards those tournaments.
And overall maintenance, right?
And overall maintenance, so. Thank you. Anything further on sports fields? I see none. Continue on.
All right, next one we have here, grass cutting. So basically status quo. I believe our contract runs until 2027, so no real changes there.
Okay. Councillor Gramlich?
Sorry if this was mentioned and I didn't pick up on it. I'm a little bit under the weather. So with the sports field, particularly ball diamonds, is this grass cutting part of that? That's not in,
No.
or is it under contracted services under the ball diamonds? Or is this?
So the sports fields are everything to do with all of the sports fields that we maintain, and grass cutting. So this is our green spaces, our berms, our boulevards and around our welcome sign.
Okay, so not, okay, thank you.
Completely, yeah.
Anything left in,
That's parks and grass cutting.
Yep.
That you can move on to the Northern Lights Aquatic Center. On page 157.
I would just, might as well pop up there, Darcy. I'm sure we'll have something.
So what we've done here is just kind of updated all of our figures again. Council wanted the increased service level in 2025. So we have now reflected that in 2026. So this budget is basically, you'll get the service levels that we provided the community in 2025 in 2026, and this is the budgeted figures to provide that service.
And that was our goal from council, from the previous council, just
Yeah.
as, it was, we were asking what to achieve the service level we want, staff to get there and let us know what that costs. And then that comes to us for a decision on service levels at the council table and strategic planning. I keep saying strategic planning, but that's when it's going to come to the decision. We want to know what it would actually cost to achieve the service level that we're looking for.
And in the original council package that was sent out, there is a there's a pool analysis with, I believe we gave you 4 options for various service levels. So the one that's in the budget is the
The way
first
it is
level,
currently.
first service level, and then we give you other options to pick from that are of course cheaper, but reduce the service and the potential impact to the residents.
And that's the discussion to have, is what service level do we want to offer? And are we willing as a council to put forward as it will cost more than in previous years? And that's what all of this was determined, is we're not adding anything. This is just how much that costs, and council knew that in moving funds from an unrestricted surplus and able to do so. So if the budget looks odd, but that's the reason why, is finding out what our true numbers were to achieve in our heads. That is. Okay. And like you said, you moved the 20,000 just into the one reserve, so, because it doesn't have its own separate.
Yeah.
Anything further there? I don't see anything right now.
All right, with that, then we're just gonna jump up within the document to the government center, which we can find on page 125. And so what the government center here is basically this entire building, includes the town office and includes the entire other side of the building. All of these costs within this center are shared with the province. The province picks up 77% of the costs reported here. The library also pays 7%. And then the town funds the remaining portion of the costs within the government center budget.
Is the library's portion based on square footage? Is that
Yeah,
how we got set?
everything is
Everything's
based-
square footage?
Under the lease agreement for the whole building, yeah, everything's based on square footage. It was set when the building was
No,
built.
that's great. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
So within here, we've gone and, again, this is one where, we have a building and we never had a building repairs and maintenance, line item. So we've introduced that so we can better account for where the money is going instead of just equipment repairs and maintenance. Because equipment repairs and maintenance was for both equipment and, building repairs. So adjusted the budget accordingly for that, and then, upped our contracted services to reflect the agreements that we have in place, and contracted services for the government center include mat rentals, garbage bin pickups, snow removal, and you know, other boiler recertifications and everything that you need to do to keep the building running, general inspections, fire extinguishers. And that's really the biggest increase there. And then we just adjusted the janitorial contracted services just to match the actual contract itself and move some of that expense into the other contracted services.
Okay. Continue on. I see nothing. Is that it?
That's the government center. I can do one more.
Before we hop into the next one, while we have Calvin here, is in planning under economic development, under land, there's contracted services. That has to do with,
The downtown beautification.
yes,
So that was
tell me what
council,
that is. Remind me what that is, I should say. I know there was years ago, previous mayors, 30,000, I believe. Councillor Grant looks annoyed.
Councillor Ferguson had this idea that, and I think it even went back when we used to have the stone kind of sand was in between it and there's weeds growing out of it. What's it gonna cost to like make it look pretty? So we called it downtown beautification. We'd throw $30,000 at it. And then when we got the new downtown, it was like, well, maybe there'll still be some weeds and maybe someone could pick up some garbage. It was just some extra money to make the downtown look clean and crisp.
So my question is what's in there? Like, what are we spending? What are we doing with it? Is there a plan? More so information. I really don't know what all that is.
To my knowledge, like, I don't know exactly if there was anything that was specifically stated in there, but what we do use it for is like weeding around the tree wells. When we have special events down there, doing sweeping on the Renee Hall, things like that when we have events,
So it's all just cleanup stuff?
it's all
basically.
in the name, yeah, in the project, council directed us to have that down.
No, that's what I was curious, because it just says contracted services, and contracted services as a name is just this vague thing. So I was like, what are we contracting? So far we've got tree,
Wells, weeding,
weeding.
yeah, sweeping the downtown when we have events.
Do we have a street? We don't have a street sweeper? No, yes.
We use our own toolcat, but
Yep.
If our guys are busy, then we contract it out through.
Okay, Councillor Grant.
I would just comment that whether it's in there as a line item, we're gonna do that, like, they need the money to do that.
No, I
So
know,
you
it's
could call it
just,
beautification or put it under whatever you want, but we're gonna spend that money regardless.
it's just the only line item floating around in land development detail,
And the reason it's here is specifically so that it didn't get
smushed into somewhere else.
to the intermunicipal agreement and inadvertently charged to the ND.
Okay, nope, I was just curious, because it was under planning and planning, so we had to bring it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Specifically kept here just so that the costs did not get confused with the intermunicipal agreement.
nope, that's great. I was just curious. So it was always like this big mysterious, what is this? So. Bryce's legacy, the beach is his legacy. Okay.
That's
Next,
the only other real line items there we have that we can just quickly go over. We have Big Fish Bay, Slave Lake Airport Commission, and then the Wildfire Legacy Center. And Big Fish Bay is just on the next page, on page 127. So just adjusted the revenue based on what we forecast we're gonna receive in 2026. Again, 2024, the note there, while it does show a large increase in revenue, there is some one-time items and adjustments that had to do with previous years. As for the airports, again, there's really, there's no additional ask. I believe the additional ask comes in 2033, quite a ways away, according to their 10-year plan. Right now, their contribution ask is 180,000 for the foreseeable future. No change there.
nothing makes me happier than a 10-year plan. That's beautiful. Thanks, Pierre at Airport. Greatly appreciated.
And then for the Wildfire Legacy Center, we have increased our contribution by 25,000. and plan to do so until the center is stabilized. So at this juncture in time, we'll probably be seeing that amount go to 225 to 250. And while we do contribute, the MD contributes as well to the building. With that, I believe we have covered all of our,
The only one is RCMP. If you just wanted to speak to the RCMP budget.
did I miss that? Yeah,
RCMP services.
We can definitely go through that one on page, excuse me, 48.
Now Roland doesn't have any service level answers, but he has just what the expected increases are. So just for council, so.
Yeah, and so what's not included in here, we did get a letter. So unfortunately, when this document was created, we got a letter and a heads up from the RCMP, and I don't know the entire impact of that, of a anticipated rise in wages of 3.5%. I don't know what that translates to, and I doubt that was in their forecasted numbers. So when I learn more information, I can update
Is this
this
another
number. and
retroactive?
I highly doubt that it's going down. So this is our best guess based on what the RCMP gave us on the current expectations outside of that additional wage. On the other hand, we did apply for a grant for body worn cameras. That's also not reflected in here. It's not a significant chunk of change, but we're anticipating about $10,000 a year to help offset the costs of the body worn cameras that the members use.
For 3 years.
For 3 years, yes.
Okay.
And I guess with the with the RCMP too, one of the biggest risks that we always do run every year, and we have for the last 10 years, is in our budget with the budgeted cost that you do see but in front of you. The Slave Lake detachment is supposed to have 13 FTEs, and in this budget, we only ever budget for 12. And that's due to based on past historical averages from the bills that I received from the RCMP on the FTE complement that we are charged. So if we do have a year, should it ever happen where they actually fully sustain 13 FTEs, you could see this budget be over by up to $150,000.
We all know how staffing goes because
But
again, there's positions that are vacant, just as we heard today, that there's
Yeah.
positions that are vacant, they're waiting for transfers. Generally, I would say that your estimate of the FTEs has worked
Yes.
soundly for 10 years. So I think so far that's okay. Caveat, yes. Even with the 12 out of 13 FTE estimate, it is worth council to note that if everything stays the same as is presented, the impact to taxpayers is a 92,900, which roughly reflects 1% before we do anything.
that's
And that
roughly
is just mandated from police services. That's just our CMP. So there's an automatic budget increase of 92,900 projected, and that is their hands are tied on there. So just a heads up to that for everyone. And that is why I wanted you to go over that.
perfect. And that's, yeah,
Are we done all the presentations?
that would be
then? Beautiful.
every department, every center.
Greatly appreciated. Counselor Hughes.
I'd like to move to accept the community services budget as information.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion right now? As I see none, I'll call to question those in favor. And that one is carried. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate your time. Okay. Electoral boundaries discussion and submission is next. Okay. So the draft was emailed out to council yesterday. So this one's on me. That's why there's no report in there. As we know with the proposal from the provincial government is to remove the Lesser Slave Lake riding and divide that riding amongst 3 proposed ridings. The deadline for submission for any commentary from anyone, municipal or otherwise, is on Friday. That being said, the report that was prepared, we discussed informally about preparing a report that identifies all of our issues, and how not only is the entire North losing representation, but it kind of violates, well, it definitely violates all of the existing governmental structures in place, including ANSA, even the Region 4 Health Council. This would put us under 3 different MLAs. So as you have the report in front of you, it's very lengthy, apologies. But if there was any commentary on things anyone at council here feels it might be missing, we will release the finalized report to the town. We can do that via a media release and link to our website because it is 20+ pages of entertainment. But yeah, just mostly a discussion on council. I think it is important personally for our council to respond. I think it would be a travesty to have this occur. Not only is Northern Alberta losing representation, but we will also be aligned, in my opinion, with communities that don't have similar strategic priorities or cultural framework. With that would put, I believe, our town at the bottom of the list on the priority and already extended MLAs to go further and to handle different arenas. If you take a look at the strategic priorities, even as a council of Westlock, which is where we would end up lumped with, there is a significant strategic priority of becoming a commuter, improving being a commuter town to Edmonton. And even looking at agriculture, a variety of things just don't align. The report also goes over the constitutional ability to not have it solely based on population and the reason why, as well as some recommendations in order to meet that population requirement. Some communities such as Swan Hills and Calling Lake could be added easily to that would strategically align. Councillor Hughes?
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you to Mayor Ward for doing up this very lengthy and thorough report. I know that must have taken you a lot of time. I did read it at length and I was actually very impressed with it. I feel like it covers a lot of what we really need to be saying. Some of my favorite points in here were just obviously you pointing out that this new representation will make it so strained by distance and the diversity that it will fail to be effective for our region. And that's the overarching point that I think we're trying to make here. I like the ideas that you added in there about redistributing the growth more evenly from the urban areas as well, because they're just doing it at the expense of the north. So your increase for resources for the MLAs and some of those things you pointed out where they could be provided additional support to serve their challenges in their large, geographical area, I think are great. And I hope that they will see benefit to that instead of moving forward with what they propose. I was wondering on next steps for this as well. So if we submit this by this Friday, we will release the support. There is an online submission sometime in January as well.
So there's an online, so we weren't invited to the last discussion.
Yes.
There was I'm at a loss for words. I've talked too much tonight. There was a forum, something like that, to get input from the community. There is an online one for the North. There's 2 online ones.
Yeah.
And that will be in January. I believe you can register for it now as well. So I would recommend anyone that is interested, including council. There's 2 sessions. I would recommend registering so that you get the Zoom or Teams link to that. So that one is on.
I do have a note for it, January 15th, that there's 10-minute presentation slots, that it's virtual. So anybody, is my understanding, anyone in our riding can
Fantastic. We will sign up
book
for
one. So will we book one as the town of Slave Lake?
That's we can absolutely, if that's what I would coming out of this, we would need a motion to this to be our official submission. And then we can also create
I was just wondering next steps, I guess, with this process. So
that would be to make the motion, because I don't want to submit this report on behalf of council without our support there.
Yeah.
And then as well as sign up for a presentation slot.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, but thank you again for all of that. And I mean, the other one for me that's obviously weighs heavily is just the impact that it has on our existing regional groups and partnerships like tourism, the ANCA. You know, I've spent, I feel like the last several years working on growing those relationships and strengthening them. And we're all working together towards a common goal. And this really negates all of that great work that we have currently been doing. So that's just, you know, that's a frustrating feeling to have to look at that being a factor here.
I agree. My favorite was that
overall.
the High Prairie School Division will now be split up into 3
Yeah.
separate MLAs.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that the Regional Health Council, that Alberta Health determined that our riding, which the Region 4 Health Council basically is exactly the Lesser Slave Lake riding. So it's very interesting that pre-existing government structures under the current administration that have recently been set up will now be represented differently. So it doesn't feel right, but I agree with you there. Councillor Choba?
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely echo Councillor Hughes' points. It's very important for us to make this submission. I did make a submission as someone who lives in the area. And so I encourage community members to take this opportunity to make this submission and share their thoughts on the electoral boundaries right now. I think the report that you did that we're pending submission right now to the electoral boundaries was well written. Thank you for doing that, Mayor Ward. It does highlight all the concerns that for me as an individual who lives in this community has. And I definitely support that. I think it does hit all the points, and looking forward to a positive resolution of what things need to look like going forward with the electoral boundaries. Thank you.
Councillor Choba, continue.
With that being said, I would like to make a motion to tasking admin to submit the electoral boundaries report for the town of Slave Lake.
Fantastic. Yeah, but we'll do that immediately. There's a couple grammatical errors that Councillor Bowes highlighted that we will address. It's just small things that we will address and clean those up and then get that sent. Friendly amendment is that we would also put on our website the report, if that is accepted as the friendly amendment to that.
I think should add that we're gonna do the.
We do it we can do that one separate. Well, otherwise we'll have amendment after. Okay, so motion on the floor to submit the proposed report on behalf of the towns of Slave Lake. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that one is carried. And then Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, I just wanted to move that the town of Slave Lake books one of the 10-minute slot presentations with the Electoral Boundary Commission on January 15th at a time that works for at least Mayor Ward and whoever else from council would like to be there. I think it is important that we all show up for that and make sure that we are advocating as much as we can.
Okay, any further discussion on that? Call to question those in favor. And that one is carried. Okay. Any questions for administration? Quiet night. I will take that and move along right into the commemorative lighting. Alex, if you want to go through that for us.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a request for changing the lighting in February for the coldest night of the year. It's supported by the Northern Haven Support Society, which will be hosting a local walk through the Blue Sea Foundation and the Rock Soup Greenhouse. So basically it's an initiative to recognize charities that serve people experiencing hurt, hunger, and homelessness. And it does meet all of the requirements for submission. So if approved, we would get our services to change the lights on February 28th for the whole day. That's all I have.
We would need a motion, Councillor Bowes.
So I'd like to make, okay, let's go up. I'll just go back down again. Okay. I would like to make a motion for the town to support the Northern Haven Support Society for the coldest night of the year and to authorize the changing of colors to winter blue, warm yellow and teal all day for February 28th, 2026.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor. And that one is carried. Fantastic. Okay, anything for State of the Lake from council? I have something. If no one, okay, well then I will do this. That's fantastic. Oh, Councillor Baus, go ahead.
I just want to say that as a new counselor, first year, budget, Christmas, snow, everything, it's kind of been a busy couple of months. And I just want to wish everybody a really Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I'm going to enjoy just actually not doing council stuff for a couple of weeks.
Thank you. So as we close out another year, I want to take a moment to reflect on the work of council, administration in our community and to acknowledge the progress we've made together. This year marked a municipal election and the beginning of a new council term, and I'd like to formally welcome Councillor Baus, Williams, and Hudson. Stepping into public office brings a steep learning curve, and each of you have shown a commitment to asking the right questions, engaging in meaningful discussion, and putting the best interests of Slave Lake first. This was also the first full year under new administrative leadership, and to our CAO, Alex, congratulations on successfully navigating year one at the helm. The past year has required steady leadership, clear communication, and collaboration, and all of which have been critical as council worked through complex operational, financial, and governance matters. And that is even more so demonstrated in the last week with snow removal. And it's been a rough week. So really appreciate that and your leadership over the last year. Council has also made significant progress on infrastructure and capital planning, continued work on roads, utilities, and facilities that we don't necessarily think about every day, but support both current residents and future growth. These investments are not always flashy, but they are foundational to the health and resilience of our community. Housing and development remain key priorities. I'm particularly proud of the progress and visible momentum at Fournier Place. Feel like we moved mountains to make that happen. And when the first shovel hit the ground, there may have been a tear. Seeing development move from planning to a reality is a strong indicator of confidence in Slave Lake and speaks to the work council administration have done to create an environment that supports responsible growth. Beyond council chambers, this year reinforced the importance of partnerships with community organizations, regional partners, Indigenous leadership, businesses, and other levels of government. Progress in a small town is never achieved in isolation, and collaboration continues to be one of Slave Lake's greatest strengths. I want to sincerely thank my fellow councillors, our administration, staff, boards, and committees, and the many volunteers who give their time and energy to this community. The work is demanding, often complex, and sometimes challenging, but it matters deeply. As we enter the holiday season, I hope everyone takes time to rest, reflect, and enjoy time with your loved ones. And on behalf of council, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. And I look forward to continuing this work together in the year ahead. Councillor Hughes.
Motion to adjourn for the year. Oh, sorry, closed session. Pardon me. Darn it, I'll have to wait on that one. Motion to go into close.
We have the motion to go so close, so close.
Right?
Motion to go into, okay, hold on, I'm gonna pause.
Something else?
And there is further discussion with Councillor Achoba.
Oh, pardon me.
Thank you, Mayor Ward. Well said. I just want to add that we're really grateful for your leadership and a lot of your insights on budgets as always. So thank you for that.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
Everyone scared when the word budget comes and I'm there. It's horrifying. I know. I'm so sorry. Appreciate the kind words. Okay, that is the discussion. Motion on the floor to go into closed session. Any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor. That is carried. Thank you. Counselor Gramlich.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn
Okay, any further
for
discussion?
the year.
Motion to adjourn for the year? Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor. All right, Merry Christmas,